Good morning, friends. Nice to be here in New York City again on this beautiful spring day. I'd like to share with you a very nice book that appeared recently, written by a second grade teacher in my hometown of Northampton, Massachusetts. The teacher's name is Mary Cowie, and the title of the book is Black Ants and Buddhists. The title of the book is Black Ants and Buddhists. And we had a book signing just a few days ago, and it's a very remarkable book, and I encourage you to read this book if you have a chance. But I will give you a summary. One day in the second grade class of Jackson Street School, where my wife Alice taught also for 20 years, black ants appeared in the classroom, eating breadcrumbs, cookie crumbs that the children had dropped during lunch hour. And as the black ants increased, the children got excited and began stepping on them, stomping on them, and killing them. Then there was a boy from Thailand. His name is Chakapo, and Chakapo yelled, "Don't kill the black ants. They didn't hurt anyone. Stop killing them." And of course the children didn't know what Chakapo was talking about. But there was another boy in class by the name of Jacob, and Jacob comes to our family Dharma school, our family Sunday school. And Jacob, also in the second grade, "Don't kill the ants. We have to practice loving kindness." And so the children were all confused. Some kept stomping on the black ants, and two pupils saying, "Stop killing the black ants." And the teacher is a very wise teacher, and she said to the class, "Let's calm down and let's have a discussion." And she led a discussion asking the students, "We have black ants, what should we do?" And immediately someone said, "We should kill them and get rid of them." But another voice said, "Just a minute. They didn't do anything wrong. Why don't we clean our classroom so that we don't have breadcrumbs? That attracts the ants." And as they went around the classroom, they all agreed that how to treat the black ants was not to kill them, but to keep the classroom swept clean, get rid of all the breadcrumbs, cookie crumbs, and if we do that, there's no reason why black ants would come into the classroom. So that was the solution. When I heard this story, which is the first chapter of this book called Black Ants and Buddhas, I realized that here were second graders in a conflict situation, calming down and discussing how to deal with this problem. And how to deal with this problem, not just emotionally, but using common sense. And so they decided the best way to avoid having black ants come into the classroom was to keep the classroom clean. This is a remarkable example of the two important things in our tradition of Buddhism. One is wisdom, and the other is compassion. These second graders used wisdom. They discussed, they figured out what was best, and they decided the answer was not killing the ants, but keeping the classroom clean. And this led to compassion. Compassion not only for the ants, but for compassion to other children who had different opinions, different ideas, but who in the end all agreed that the best way to deal with black ants in the classroom was to keep the classroom clean so that it would not attract black ants. This is a very simple example of how Buddhism, how the teaching of Buddhism functions in everyday life. One is to stress wisdom, clear understanding of the situation. The other is to manifest compassion, especially against those who are opposed to us, because with patience they might turn around and we ourselves might change our views so that we come together in the harmony of the Sangha. Now we take this example another level, a deeper level, your level and my level. When the question of how can I resolve my conflict with my neighbor? How can I get along better with my brother and sister? How can I be more effective in the workplace? How can I be kind to strangers and beggars? When these questions come up and we apply the basic principles of wisdom and compassion, the answer is not that easy. In fact, the answer is very difficult. I will give you a scenario. I have a brother, and I'm going to make this up, so don't tell him. I have a brother, and we have arguments. And the more we argue, the more I blame him for being ignorant, stupid, self-centered, dumb. And the more I think this, the more misunderstanding is created. And the more I think I'm right, I become prideful, I want to assert myself, I become arrogant. And then I am reminded of how the children dealt with the black ants. Initially there was a lot of conflicts, but gradually as they talked it out, they came to a rational conclusion. Keep the classroom clean, that'll keep the ants out, and we can go on with the purpose of school, which is to study. But on this deeper level on which I exist when I have conflicts with neighbors, with siblings, with friends, it's not that easy. Because the first thing I think is, why don't they understand me? I understand them. Why don't they understand me? The next thing is, they have to change. And I never ask myself, do I have to change? No, not me, because I'm doing everything properly. They have to change. And if they don't change, it's their fault. If this kind of attitude persisted in this story of the second graders, this would never have been solved. The conflict would have gotten worse, and other difficulties would arise. And so on this deeper level, I began to reflect on what Shinran, our teacher in our tradition, taught us. And I will read you one poem that he wrote about wisdom and compassion. Shinran was already in his late 70s, and he wrote, "My eyes being blinded by blind passion, I cannot perceive the light that grasps me. Yet the great compassion without fail illumines me always." What Shinran means by blind passions is our self-centered ways of thinking and acting. And I am blind to that. My eyes being blinded by blind passion. Passion, of course, is anger, jealousy, righteousness, so forth. And so I have eyes to see, but it's clouded, is blinded by these passions that come from not other person or what the other person does and says, but from my own darkness. I cannot perceive the light that grasps me. Light in Buddhism is wisdom, is the working of wisdom. And we call it light because it reveals a lot of things about myself that common sense negates, rejects. And so I cannot perceive, I cannot awaken to the light that grasps me. Grasp means the light is not just out there, it comes closer and closer and closer and awakens me to my reality. Yet the great compassion without fail, in spite of the fact that I refuse to admit the errors of my being, even though intellectually I may understand that maybe sometimes it's my fault, but emotionally it's never my fault, it's the others' fault. Yet great compassion means the power of awakening ourselves to the reality of our life. And we give it a name, we call it Amida, boundless light. Amida Buddha is boundless light. Yet the great compassion without fail illumines me always, but continues to illuminate my reality, my blind passion. So now here's another level of awareness in which I don't have the clarity of the second grader to solve the problem. Rather, blind passion continues to darken my vision, obstruct self-realization, and continue to proclaim self-righteousness. And so, what we call delusion, samsaric wandering continues on and on. And then Shinran has another poem, seeing the sentient beings of Nembutsu. Nembutsu is Namu Amida Butsu. It is the calling on the name of Amida Buddha. Seeing the sentient beings of Nembutsu throughout the world, countless as particles of dust, the Buddha grasps and never abandons, and therefore is called Amida. On the deeper level, I come to realize that I am unable to open my eyes. I don't realize that I am blinded and that I live in darkness. But the compassionate heart of the universe that we call Amida never tires, never gives up, continues to illuminate my reality. And as it illuminates my reality, there is something else happening, and that is the tightening grasp of I am right is loosened up slowly, slowly. It's no longer rational. It's no longer something we can decide to do. It's something that the reality of natural life begins to bring about a change, a spontaneous change. Otherwise, I continue to dig a dark hole for my life, for my existence. And here, one is given a choice. You can continue that way, or you can open up and let go. And let go, concretely, is in the chanting of the name Namu Amida Butsu. That is the sign of the process of letting go, so that we come out of darkness, the blindness which drives us. When this happens, then we become like second graders. When there is conflict, we don't blame the ants, we don't blame other people. We take the responsibility of keeping the room clean and avoiding further conflicts with other people. We return to the first stage. We return to the stage of the second grader to deal with conflict situations on a very practical, common sense level. But this time made aware that because of our deep karmic past, it is very difficult to let go of our self-righteous position and to open up to solutions that are right there. And so, if you get a chance, you should look up this book. And the author's name is Mary Cowhey. It's Cowhey. Yeah. And the title of the book is Black Ants and Buddhas. And it's very, very enlightening to learn from a teacher dealing with second graders, using not just Buddhism, but practical wisdom, which is the basic bottom line in Buddhism, using practical wisdom to teach children about compassion, about peace, about respecting other people. Thank you very much. If you'd like to take a look at it, I have one copy that we brought down, and you could take a look at it. I don't even remember the publisher. It's a New Hampshire publisher. Thank you very much.